I'm joined now by Vogue International editor Suzy Menkes in the studio. Suzy, thank you so much for coming in. He has been described as a prolific designer, a creative genius, but also so many people were remembering him for his friendship, his humanity, his generosity. How do you remember him?
I think of Karl as a chameleon. He was so different in different ways. I first knew him and he was very haute, and he had always had something with him and a whole lot of people around him, and then I was quite frightened of him. Then I got to know him better and I understood his love for music and especially his love for books. His home had books like you can't imagine, tables and tables and tables of them. And then, of course, I saw all the shows that he did right from the beginning. I think it's 3 decades that I'd seen his work. So for me, he is both an extraordinary designer and also somebody who, I wouldn't say a friend, but somebody who I knew very well.
He's one of the most recognisable men in fashion in the world, perhaps, you could say as well, for his iconic look. I'm wondering what legacy he has then when it comes to younger designers as well. Was he very much into mentoring younger designers coming through?
Karl Lagerfeld was always interested in the new. He never sat on his laurels. He never thought about the past. In fact, he hated the past. And so he certainly helped some young designers. There were 1 or 2 of them that he would go and encourage them. But in general, he was just this spirit that encouraged the designers, the young ones themselves, the feeling that you get to do this. And he, of course, Karl himself came from Germany. He won an award and he built himself up. And his trajectory is not so very different from a lot of designers that you get today.
Very well known as well for the animosity that I suppose he spurred amongst Peter and the anti-fur campaign as well, because he used quite a lot of fur with his designs, but also because one of his greatest loves, or if not his greatest love of all time, was his cat, Choupette. Did you ever meet Choupette?
I met Choupette, I certainly did. Karl wouldn't go around without him. And I remember when we were in Germany, when I think it was Karl's first visit as a fashion designer for Chanel, and this cat appeared and apparently had 2 people coming to look after him, unlike
2 maids,
me.
I heard.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and his own bedroom as well. And poor Choupette has since been orphaned, obviously, now. Did Karl Lagerfeld have any other family as well? And one wonders who his, presumably, personal wealth, not only his fashion credentials, but his wealth as well, will be left to in his death.
I don't know anything about his private life, from the point of view of who he's leaving money to, although I know that he has got a sister who's still living, and the sister has a daughter in America. The sister has a daughter who I believe is a ballet dancer or music person. But he certainly spent a lot of time with a young boy who we all fell in love with because he was often on the runway. And he was 7 or 8 years old, and he was like a sort of amusing tool for Karl. But no, he didn't have family. He lost one of his great close friends to AIDS, and always after that was very sad about that period in the 80s. Yeah. And he said to me about that he was with Madonna, that the 80s didn't exist because he wasn't there.
One word, if you could, to describe Karl Lagerfeld.
Genius.
Genius. Suzy Menkes, thank you so much for joining us on the programme and for sharing your memories of the great man. Thank you.
Thank you.